Okay, welcome to part two of the 1937 Capehart 500E/M restoration. So we just showed you in part one the front of the cabinet with all the doors open and all the exquisite woodwork and trimming and lacquers that the Capehart used back when they made the Empire cabinet in 1937. Such a beautiful and rare piece. Let's go ahead and take a look at the most exciting part for me and maybe for you, which will be the electronics in the rear side of the cabinet. So this machine, like I said, has been in storage since 1948, and it has a bit of aging to it, and you can see some of the wood finish here, some of the wood finish on the top, which is in pretty good shape. But the rear compartment here is really a treat. Why? Because it's been undisturbed probably since it was put in storage, since the original owner played it last. It's really unknown, but we do know the machine has not been powered up since Nate Miller died in 1948. So some really special features that we're going to show you here on the back side of the cabinet in part two of the video for the 1937 Capehart 500E/M restoration. So as you can see in here, which is a little dark, I'll do my best to try with the lighting. Inside here we have the 1942 Capehart M series tuner. This is the M tuner. There's at least you see the backside. We'll get better lighting in later parts of the video when we get this thing up on the bench. But you can see here this tag. I don't want to rip it. Beckens Van and Storage Company, Los Angeles. That tag is probably from 1948 if I am to guess. It's probably when it was put in storage and where it was put in storage at. You see the remote control over here on the right hooked up. And we have some other odds and ends that were discovered in the cabinet. So over the years, I'm sure as things were put inside of it maybe. Here's an Admiral brochure from the 1960s or 70s, I think. Or is it the 80s? Well, it was actually made in Japan. So there's a little odd end there. We also have this, I don't know if it's a sock or maybe a stocking. Maybe it was used to clean the records. I don't know. That was probably what that was used for. That was in there as well. So some original information that was on the M tuner. We have our placards there before us. Right in front of us, those two yellow things. And then we have the antenna information, the antenna switch down there, which is really cool. I've never seen that before in a original Capehart. So you can't see, but at the front of that, all the pot metal is pretty much deteriorated and destroyed, which we'll get into that later on in the restoration series. So the only damage that I really see here on the back side is it's missing 3 corners of trim here and there, which would hold this in. So we have our original Capehart tag from 1937, the model 500E, serial number 7755E. That is what this machine was originally purchased as. Once again, it has received an update by the original owner from the Capehart dealer on the West Coast in Long Beach, California, an upgrade to a 1942 Capehart M. He upgraded to the finest electronics he could before the war broke out because he knew radio production would be ceased to exist once the war broke out. So we have 3 amplifiers. This is the genuine 1942 M Series amp. We have the original 1937 chrome-plated amplifier down here, which I think powers the original 1937 18-inch Jensen electrodynamic speaker. Both this amp and the speaker are original 1937 components that were utilized at the time of the upgrade to the 1942 electronics, which would be this amplifier and this amplifier off to the right. Now you can see some damage to the speaker cones. This is our 13.5-inch mid-range speaker. And then also the cone is destroyed on the left-hand side for the treble speaker. That's a 12-inch. Now these speakers were likely the originals from 1937, if I'm not mistaken, but I can't verify that just yet. Now you can see that the base was removed from this set on a pedestal. That was removed, as you can see. So they made a modification there in order to fit this original amp from 1942 here. We have our motor and our transmission behind us with a drive shaft that goes all the way up. The underside of our changer, you can see the breakage of the pot metal here, and it's cracked variously all around. We have our remote cable that comes down to an extension. We have an extension back there, which will be amazing to look at as we dig in deeper. And one of the most rare and finest portions of this restoration that we'll be sharing is the original Capehart concealed remote control. This book is leather bound, the cover broke. You have your remote here. And if you wanted to access the remote, you would remove this cover. And there it is, the original remote control from 1942 with the extension cable all coiled up, and that would go up to the radio tuner there. This remote is very rare. There's only one other book known to be had in the U.S. This is the second one discovered to my knowledge. It's a very expensive Capehart accessory. This book was a very, very expensive Capehart accessory that could be purchased to conceal the remote control. Right back here you can see an original placard, which would have been the 1937 treble amp. We have two 6L6s, two 6C5s, and a 5Z3. That's what the 400 level treble amp would be, which essentially a 500, remember, is a 400 level amplifiers plus an 18-inch Jensen right here in the middle and a third amplifier for the treble, which the treble in the mid-range would be the same amp, and the bass amp would originally power the 18-inch. That's how the 500 series did it all the way up through 1940. Now, starting in 1941 and 42, I am of the opinion that Capehart no longer produced the 500, that they used leftover cabinets or upgraded the cabinets with 1941 and 42 electronics as we see here. They did not manufacture the 18-inch Jensen in 1942, if I'm not mistaken, and they most definitely did not chrome plate anything after 1940. By 1941, Farnsworth Television took over Capehart, and they produced their own set of electronics, aka the new design and amplifiers and the radio tuner, totally different and a new departure from the old way the Capehart Corporation did before they sold out to Farnsworth. So this is the original underside, and it's undisturbed. It's dirty, grimy, there's just dust everywhere. I found some mouse droppings, a lot of just loose screws and stuff. These are a junction box, which was used in 41 and 42. Actually, they used it all the way back as 1940 and 39, but this is a genuine 1942 junction box, and our amplifiers would plug into here. As you can see, they use an extension to get all three plugged into this two receptacle outlet right here. Just absolutely stunning, stunning Capehart. We hope you enjoyed part 2 here, and part 3 we'll start going through and cleaning everything. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned.